The Philips CM8833-II monitor was one of the more popular CRT models of the early 90s and was frequently seen connected to a Commodore Amiga 500. The attractive casing housed innards not dissimilar to the earlier Commodore 1084S D1 and D2 monitors, themselves often manufactured by Philips, not to mention the Atari SC1435, which shared a very similar internal design. But while the Philips monitor's attractive aesthetic, RGB input and detachable pedestal stand make it an appealing proposition for retro computer enthusiasts, it lacks one thing the older Commodore models did have: separate Chroma and Luma inputs, being composite only. But we can rectify this by adding a handful of parts and drilling a couple of holes. The back casing of the monitor even has positions for the hole that we need for the new connector and the word Chroma exactly where it needs to be. We're going to continue with this CM8833-II Luma and Chroma conversion. I did initially film the start of it, but it was so cumbersome and difficult to film that I eventually gave up. And I also discovered that the phono connectors that I'd ordered were actually no good whatsoever. I've got some better ones now here. So I ordered individual phono connectors and mounted them on the plastic bracket after completely drilling the whole thing out. That looks very nice indeed. I'll go over that a little bit later on, but for now we're just doing the most fiddly part of the board. I'm removing a jumper at the moment, and in theory the whole thing should be relatively straightforward. I can't be bothered to take the main board out of the case, so as you can see I'm working it on this rather bizarre fashion. Now I want to make one very important point before we continue. Please ensure the monitor is properly discharged before you go messing on with the insides. I know most of you probably know this already, but nevertheless it does bear repeating. They're very high voltages stored in the tube and capacitors, etc. They may have bleeder resistors, but nevertheless it's better to be safe than sorry. And please take the proper precautions before you work on them. Thank you. I'm currently removing jumper 9375. Now this is what part 1 of the modification actually looks like. As you can see, there's not actually very much to it. I just need a handful of resistors and a transistor. I'm trying not to use the desoldering gun on this board because the solder side is very fragile and I don't want to start pulling traces off left, right and centre. So that's that jumper off. Give it a quick look. Looking at with a bit of flux. I'll move this along a little bit, you can probably see it a little bit better. That's a good idea. I need to take out 9374 as well. Where's that one? 9374. That's the one. And in that spot we need to put a resistor. Yes, this was the connector I ordered from China. Completely the wrong part, unfortunately. The button that we're going to need to switch between the composite video and Chroma and Luma. Power button. I pinched the whole housing for the power button as well because this one's really badly discoloured over here. And I pinched a couple of little button tops there because everything's gone horribly brown. Right, so I've given this area of the board a little bit of a clean up now. This is where we've been working on here. And if I flip the board over, okay, so we added a 22k resistor here, a 10k resistor here, a 10k resistor here, transistor here, and we removed a jumper here. I think that's everything we did. Oh yes, we also removed, this was jumpered previously, so we took the jumper off and replaced it with a resistor. So that's it. That's all the work done on this section of the board. Alright, so this shows the modifications to the back of the board, just a jumper, a resistor and a switch. And of course the Chroma connector that you're going to need to fashion or add to the original housing. It's very much up to you. Somebody did make an aftermarket part that had all 4 connectors on it, but I chose to fabricate it myself. It's not a difficult modification, but I wouldn't advise it for beginners if you're not handy with fabbing stuff up yourself. Now we need to add a jumper directly behind where this new switch is going to go, so just remove the solder. There we go. Okay, so this area here, I've just wicked all of the solder off the board there. I'm going to put a jumper and a switch. A nice bit of wire here that we can use as a jumper. Okay, so let's put the switch on. Okay, this will just slot in here without any problems at all. It might need a little bit of cleaning up actually. There we go. That seems to be sitting properly. Very good. Okay, so we solder this in. We are close to being done. After this, we just need to put the connector on. Alright, just a 75 ohm resistor here for the chrominance. So there are all of our components in position. The only thing we need to do now is actually rig up the phono jack. Okay, had to steal the switch of a different monitor because the switch I had didn't work. It didn't survive being transplanted. This one has, fortunately. So we're back in business. But I do need to buy some of these switches new to replace the stuff I've stolen from other boards. But anyway, I'm going to be happy to simply have the thing working. It was pretty hair raising as well. I wasn't especially keen on having already worked on the board to get the solder out of the holes, and I had to take the switch back off. But yeah, no damage done anyway. Right, so there's our switch. I'm going to replace some of these switches while we're here. I'll probably peroxide these and get them back into better condition, but I just want them replaced now for the moment. Alright. There you go, and this one, it's not an exact match, but it's going to have to do. The last thing we need to do is connect this contraption here, which I'm going to do by wiring it up around the back. It's starting to look rather nice actually, but I'm also going to replace this whole discoloured power button as well, because I'm not happy with the way that looks. So let's go ahead and do that now. So yeah, I'm going to replace this whole plastic assembly because it's quite badly discoloured. So to do that we need to, let me just see, I remember how to get this thing off. There we go, that's a lot easier. Why didn't I just do that in the first place? Now the power switch on this one is touch and go actually. Right, this is a working switch, so I think we should probably go ahead and replace it. Okay, so the power switch is knackered on this set, so we're going to have to take it off after all. Okay, so that's the old switch off. I have also removed the bracket off the front. The switch sits in this little gap like this, so to slide it out of this little channel you have to bend these two little lugs back at the top. I'm going to transplant this onto the new switch, which is here. Fortunately, I bought some of these a few years ago, and that one actually works. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to just get the pliers like this and just squeeze this way, and that bends the lugs back like so, and we should be able to get this off. There we go, it's starting to slide off like so. And we put the old bracket on, slide this down, hopefully it'll fit, and it does. And then to tighten them up, we'll just do the reverse of what we did before. Push those over like so. That's nice and solid. I mean, it's not great, but it's good enough. So there's the new switch with the old bracket on, and these two legs here along the middle of the switch need to be removed. So we can probably just bend them off, snap them off. Like so, and like so. Okay, I think this is now ready to go back on the board, so let's see if we can fit it on. Finally, we can reaffix the switch. Okay, and I think that looks rather nice. So there's the whole back panel of the machine completely rejuvenated. I think I'll touch up the solder on the RGB connector as well while I'm here. Okay, so to show you the underneath of that work. Which works beautifully. Okay, now it's time to wire up our new connector. Hello?
When I first told him about it, he didn't want to know about it, you know? And he's quite taken with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'll see you later.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Let's wire this up. Okay, so that's what we've ended up with. It looks quite nice. So I've just put bare wire for the 2 ground pins and separate wires, color coded at that. So I had to drill the original connector. I had the phono, obviously there wasn't the red one there, that was just blanked off, but it had the phono connectors that were kind of, well, not molded on, but there were protrusions, plastic protrusions, and the connectors went over the pegs, so it had to be completely drilled out, this frame, and I'm just delighted that I didn't overdo it with the drilling, and the thing's actually gone together okay. It looks pretty nice. So let's put this on the board now. Okay, there's our new connector in position. It doesn't sit very solidly on the board, but it is going to be held in place with that central screw on the back of the case, so I'm not too worried about that. Just show you the top. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so that's there's our holes for the Chroma connector and the extra switch. Didn't take too long, the usual big drill bits and a little bit of filing. So I'll just give the case a bit of a clean now, take the sticker off the back and put it together, and then we'll test it. So I'll be back after I've done that. Okay, I've got the thing put back together now. So now you can see the back of the case where I've drilled some holes, specifically for the Chroma input and for the CVBS to LCA switch, which changes between composite video and Chroma Luma video, as you might call it. Cleaned the case up a little bit. If we move along to the side a little bit, you can see I've the back of the machine looks very nice indeed. There we are. So that's what you can expect it to look like. I'll just flip it up. So we've got all 4 inputs now and a selector switch here. I've cleaned the case up a little bit. Of course, this monitor suffers from the age-old problem of the flap. The flap does exist. I had 2 of the, well, I've got 2 of these monitors. One's completely dead, and I think only one of them had the flap. The flap does stay on, but when you open it, it falls off because the little hooks around the hinge are fractured. But nevertheless, it does exist, and it's in decent condition. And I've also got the swivel stand, of course. It's actually the main reason I'd like to use this monitor rather than the 1084S that I've got. I was never able to find pedestal stands for those things, unfortunately. I cannot remember if this monitor works. I know the other one's dead. I think it needs a new flyback transformer or something. I have a spare, but I haven't fitted it. So I'm just going to use the trusty 800XL here because it's got really nice video. Right. Good. I'll switch the machine on and switch the monitor on and see if we get anything. I can hear audio, I can hear sound. Right, we've got sound, no picture. So what have I got? Have I got it in RGB mode or something? Let's have a look. Is anything there? Nope. Ah, what's this? That can't be. That can't be. That looks like RGB. Okay, this is as good as it's going to get, I'm afraid. I've had to fiddle with the exposure and all kinds of stuff. This does appear to be the picture, and it is so good. I can't convey how nice this looks, actually. It's just... Obviously I need to fiddle on with the geometry a little bit. Let's fix that up. So the new button which switches between the two, so if we go there, that's... And the speakers on this set are really, really, really nice. Whoa! Whistly. But that is remarkably sharp. It does look like it wants some new capacitors because it's whistling like crazy with this white screen. A complete success. Apart from the whistling, so somebody who knows about these things more than I do, because I'm not a electronic theorist by any stretch of the imagination, when the screen is very bright or black and white, large areas of high luminance, the TV whistles quite a lot, so I'm assuming that's a capacitor or something. Please tell me in the comments if you have any ideas about how to fix that, but I mean, generally speaking, I'm very, very, very pleased. Alright, so there we have it. Philips CM8833-II with Chroma and Luma modification. Hope you enjoyed that, hope you found that one useful. It was very, very difficult to film, and I do apologise for not capturing everything right from the get-go of disassembling the monitor and whatnot, but those RCA connectors arrived and I was enthused again and full of energy and determination to get the job done, and it is now done. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it half as much as I did, then I enjoyed it twice as much as you. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the people who subscribed over the past couple of weeks. And if you want more of this, please subscribe and hit the bell. Leave your comments below. And so that's it for now, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.